My name is Sajid Hussain. I am a postgraduate student at the University of the West Indies here in Trinidad and Tobago, which is where I'm from, which is where I grew up and where I currently live. I'm pursuing an MPhil, that's a Master of Philosophy in Interdisciplinary Gender Studies. And I'm also a tutor at the university. I tutor for my department. My thesis is focused on Indo-Trinidadian Muslim masculinity. So I'm really interested in understanding how religion, race, ethnicity, and nationality intersect in the experience of a man's life. And I'm looking at that particularly in the context of Indo-Trinidadian Muslim men. My work so far has been really interesting. I'm currently in the process of data collection, and it's very exploratory work. So I am asking questions about race and masculinity and religion to these Muslim men and really understanding how they construct their identities as men, how they understand themselves as men as they navigate a Caribbean environment as Indian men who are also trying to practice or conform to the religion of Islam. It's also a wonderful experience for me to be able to historicize this sort of thing, as understanding Muslim male identity in Trinidad means that I also have to understand the history of Islam in the region, in the Caribbean region, and how it also has throughout time shaped notions and perceptions of gender. In Caribbean academia, a huge emphasis is put on intersectionality, a huge emphasis is put on difference and understanding how things like race, religion, geography, class impact one's experience of manhood or womanhood. So for my work, I'm interested in continuing that scholarly legacy or participating in it by understanding exactly what that looks like for Indo-Trinidadian Muslim men specifically. I tutor a course called Men and Masculinities in the Caribbean. As a postgraduate student, I tutor undergraduate students. It's an undergraduate course. And it's been a really wonderful experience. And I would say that's where I've had a lot of my own kind of personal outreach. We think of outreach and activism as, just, in the streets or in in like a typical activist space. And that's obviously very important work. But teaching is a huge way in which advocacy is done. My department does not just teach gender theory, but they also seek to transform relations and notions of gender as we are teaching students about theories of race, gender, and history in the Caribbean. It's been a wonderful experience to have the ability to introduce these concepts and ideas to students, to undergraduate students, and to be able to see them change and grow, and to be able to see them transform their perceptions about gender and masculinity, to understand that masculinity in the Caribbean context is not something that is innate to us. It's not something that is biological or just happens naturally, but rather it is a historical construct that has been produced throughout time by various factors, by colonialism, by religion, by culture, by intersections of class, race, and religion. And so I think it's really important work to be able to not only have advocacy be in the space of, the streets and on social media, but for it to be in the classroom as well. I enjoy seeing the impact that teaching has on young people. And I think that that's really, really important. I've also had the privilege of working with an extracurricular group at my department at UV called IGDS Ignite. And they are an undergraduate mentorship group. So we get undergraduate students and we, train them in activism. The classroom is one thing, but we also try to encourage them to do things out in the street. I was a huge part of that for quite some time. And I helped them to launch a campaign called Catcalls of UE, where we essentially raised awareness about sexual harassment on campus, which is a huge thing in a lot of university spaces, especially here in the Caribbean. So that is really where the majority of my work as somebody who is engaging in work around masculinities and manhood has been located within the space of academia. I think it's really important that we come to a point in our history and in our time in this world where we can, absolve ourselves from gender, where we can liberate ourselves from the constricting notions of gender, and where being a man and being a woman is not necessarily something that's that much important to who we are and how we function in this world.